What's going on YouTube? As promised, we have the follow-up to our review of the Phenyx Pro 5200 wireless mic system. Today we're checking out the 7000, the PTU-7000-4H. Now, at its core, it's still a wireless microphone system with 4 handheld microphones, but the 7000 model extends the range and it has some features that lend itself more toward professional use. So, if you haven't seen the 5200 video, go ahead and check that out, then come back here as we're gonna be referencing that in this video. And of course, hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover all things tech. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granted Geek Show. First off, shout out to the folks over at Phenyx Pro for sending over the 7000 model. They sent over the 5200 as well, but this video is gonna be a little bit different. I decided to take the 7000 and put it into a real world test, taking it over to my church and replacing the wireless system there with this, so I can actually tell you from hands-on experience how this model is going to function. So larger environments like concert venues and churches, they're not only going to challenge this system in terms of its range, but also typically you've got a ton of people in there using cell phones and watches and tablets and computers and things like that. There's also security teams that have radios that are working on frequencies as well. And so I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to manage all that and find the best frequency. Now I do say find the best frequency because the first big feature that the 7000 has is it has automatic frequency finding. So it's going to look for and find the best frequency for the environment that you're in. And that allows for 40 different channels for each microphone. So 40 for one, 40 for the other, and so on and so forth. And while the 7000 series maintains the same cardioid pickup pattern from the 5200, I will say that the audio quality itself is much improved. And I was able to hear that not only testing it out here in the studio, but actually over at the church venue where I plugged in the 5200 and the 7000 series, and the signal to noise ratio just seemed much better on the 7000 series. So that's of course gonna lend itself to professional situations where you really need to push and pull and stretch the audio to its limits, depending on your situation. But you know what? Quality actually doesn't mean anything if you don't have sufficient range capabilities to get that audio all the way from the stage to the audio booth. Now, that would be hard enough with a clear line of sight sometimes when you're dealing with 200, 300 feet of range, but then throw in all those other radio frequencies, like I mentioned earlier, from security teams and cell phones and tablets and other live streaming equipment, and you've really got yourself quite the challenge. And that's where I have to say the 7000 series, so far, it has been perfect. And I unfortunately, I can't say the same for the 5200. It would work well in an empty venue with a clear line of sight, but once you started getting like 100 people, 200 people in the venue, all using phones and things like that, you would start to hear some interference every now and again. It wasn't anything that was a deal breaker, but if you're looking for pristine, crystal clear, never gonna drop a beat type audio, then the 7000 series is definitely where you're going to want to lean. As I tested it out, and there was absolutely no interference whatsoever with a full house security team, live stream equipment going. It was able to get a clear signal through. Now this is due to a couple of things. Obviously it has increased range up to 328 feet on the 7000 series, but also it has 4 antenna versus the 2 antenna on the 5200 series. And so that's absolutely going to help not only find, but maintain stronger signals over longer distances. And you definitely see that in this case. Now, if you got quality and you got range, the next thing you're gonna worry about, of course, is battery life. And these microphones run on 2 AA batteries. And I have to say, it puts up a respectable 7 to 8 hours of consistent battery life and on time in my testing. Now, do I wish there was some kind of smart auto off feature? Yes, absolutely. If after 2 hours, there's been maybe no audio detected or something like that, I wish it would go to sleep, because sometimes I'm dealing with talent and things like that that forget to turn mics off, and audio engineers, they have to go back and check all the microphones to make sure they're off. Otherwise, you come in the next day or you come in the next week and all your batteries are dead and you've got to replace them. But it will get you that 7 to 8 hours again in my testing. So if you have hour-long podcasts or 2-hour-long concerts or sermons or lectures, things like that, you're going to be able to get through an entire week's worth of that without any issue. But if you're dealing with 4-hour sessions, you're going to get about 2 of those, maybe 1.5 to 2 of those those before you're gonna start running into battery issues. And that's where I would say, you know, probably invest in some rechargeable AA batteries and a system and a station for all that, so you don't have to worry about your batteries running dead, because that's a pain. Okay, so obviously the PTU-7000-4H is a step above the 5200, but quality, range, and battery life don't mean anything if it's not ruggedly constructed and durable. Now, I didn't have too much of an issue with the 5200s. They were a metal build, but I gotta be honest, I was a little nervous to drop them, as one time I dropped one of them and it got a little loose when I picked it up the next time. It didn't stop functioning or anything like that, but I was like, right? No problem like that with the 7200. You pick it up and you can feel the difference. It's much sturdier. There's no creaking. It's much heavier, of course, and you just have that much more confidence when using these, that a drop or any kind of abuse that handheld mics and wireless mics generally take on stage is gonna break it. Nothing like that is really gonna break it, unless you are throwing it and things like that at a concrete wall even. These things feel built like a tank, so no worries there in terms of durability. Now, installing this was a breeze. For our setup, we needed to route the antenna to the front because it was gonna be a wall installation. So we did have to buy an additional piece of hardware for that, but with 328 feet of range, the setup was less than 50 feet away from the microphone. So I'm pretty sure, and I'm confident that even if we had it behind the wall, we wouldn't have had any connection issues, but just rather be safe than sorry. But of course, it's a simple setup, just like the 5200. It is very much plug and play. As soon as you turn that receiver on, you click one of those mics on, they're gonna talk to each other and you are locked in. You've got a solid signal. And again, what's great about these is they automatically find the best frequency to operate on depending on the radio frequency environment that you're in. And that was really great, as sometimes, especially with the 5200, when we were doing music or there were sermons going on or things like that, and there was too much Wi-Fi going on, too much cell phone stuff happening, it would cause interference with the mic, and then the person using it would have to manually change the channel on the microphone. That would be great if it was something we could do from the booth, but unfortunately we couldn't. It was up to the talent to do that. And of course, you're not gonna trust the onstage talent to be handling that kind of stuff. So the 7000 series eliminates that, and it gives me that much more confidence going into environments where I do not know the radio frequency layout. If there's a good and solid frequency out there, that the 7000 series is going to find it. So all in all, what can I say? The 7000 series, if you are looking for the best bang for your buck wireless microphone system with automatic frequency finding and varying channels, solid build quality, easy pairing and setup, plus you've got 4 XLRs on the back and 1 unbalanced summary output that'll take all 4 channels and put them out through 1 audio channel. Phenyx Pro really hit it out of the park. There's not much more that I could want. So of course, if you want to get your hands on these, I'll leave a link down in the description below. Of course, shout out to Phenyx Pro for sending both of these over. I've really enjoyed them. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss, as always, as we cover all things tech. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granted Geek Show.